All right, let's talk about the Annunciation. It's such a pivotal moment in Christian theology. This story is so powerful that it actually breaks right through the solemn season of Lent as a major feast day. So, what we're going to do is dive into some key scriptural readings from both the Old and New Testaments to really understand how a promise that was centuries in the making was finally fulfilled.
So, what exactly is the Annunciation? Well, at its heart, it's that moment the angel Gabriel delivered a message to a young woman in Nazareth. But, it's so much more than just an announcement. It's the very instant a divine plan was set in motion. And the whole thing hinged on a profound human choice.
To really get the full weight of this moment, our story doesn't actually begin with Mary in the New Testament. Nope. We have to go way back, centuries even, to a powerful promise that was recorded in the Old Testament.
Now, listen to the specific language here. This isn't just some vague hope, it's a really detailed prophecy. It talks about a virgin, a son, and a very, very particular name, Emmanuel. This kind of precision created an expectation that would just echo for generations.
And this context, which comes to us from the Old Testament prophet Isaiah, is just crucial. It frames the Annunciation not as some random, isolated event, but as the long-awaited answer to a question humanity had been asking for centuries. And that name, Emmanuel, well, it changes everything. It literally means God with us. So the hope wasn't just for a great king or some new prophet. The promise was for something way more radical. God himself stepping right into the human story. Okay, so let's fast forward now to the New Testament, where this ancient hope meets its really dramatic fulfillment. The writers there pick up this thread and they show us not just that the prophecy was fulfilled, but exactly how it all went down. So here, you can really see the crucial shift. The Old Testament gives us the promise, this idea of God with us. But the New Testament, it reveals the fulfillment, an act that required both divine power and human cooperation. It moves from being just a promise to being a real partnership. And this fulfillment, it all hinged on what we can call a twofold yes. This wasn't a one-sided command from heaven, not at all. It required a divine yes from the Son, offering himself, and it required a human yes from Mary, accepting her role. Both were absolutely essential for the plan to unfold. So that first yes is explained so beautifully in the New Testament's book of Hebrews. It frames Christ's incarnation not as some kind of historical accident, but as a willing and obedient sacrifice. This was a perfect alignment with God's will, designed to be the ultimate, final offering, replacing everything that came before. And then comes the second, history-altering yes. This is Mary's response to the angel. Her words are just a masterclass in humility, in trust, and in active consent. This moment, her fiat, is the human agreement that basically opens the door for God's plan to enter the world. This incredible moment is captured for all of us in the New Testament Gospel of Luke. It's the real linchpin, It's what directly connects that ancient prophecy from the Old Testament to the living, breathing reality of the New. So, you've got this ancient promise and this twofold yes. What's the result? Well, the consequence is arguably the single most profound concept in all of Christian theology. God actually enters human history. We call this event the Incarnation. It's the theological reality of the Son of God taking on human flesh. And the Annunciation? That's the very beginning of it, the precise point where the divine and the human meet in a way that had never, ever happened before. This all leads to a really simple but totally earth-shattering statement. The divine word, the very logic of the universe, didn't just send a message. The word became flesh. The abstract became concrete. Which, brings us right back to our opening question. It can seem a little strange to celebrate such a joyous event during Lent, right? It's a season of solemn reflection. So why is it here? Well, the answer is pretty simple. One story can't exist without the other. The Annunciation is the first chapter. That whole journey of salvation we reflect on during Lent, Christ's passion, death, and resurrection, well, that's the climactics to a story that begins with this single yes in a humble room in Nazareth. And that's what brings this grand historical narrative down to a really personal level. See, the story isn't just about something that happened 2,000 years ago. It's an ongoing invitation to each and every one of us. This prayer just beautifully reframes the whole event. It asks for the grace to learn from Mary's example. to learn how to say yes in our own lives, so that maybe the divine might find a dwelling place in us too.
And that leaves us with one final thought. The Annunciation was a radical disruption of an ordinary life. It was an invitation to the completely unexpected. So the real question for us is this: what does it mean for us to say yes when life presents its own unexpected call?